Hi everyone that's listening, welcome to the Reading Internship Scheme podcast. This is where we talk to students who have done an internship on the Reading Internship Scheme before, basically find out about their experience, how they found it, to hopefully give you a good understanding of sort of what you can expect and give you some inspiration as well. So my name's Holly and I look after the programme at the uni, so any sort of questions or anything you have after listening to this, then feel free to get in touch with me. But I'm actually here with one of our students, Ellie, at the moment. Ellie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, yeah, my name's Ellie and I did an internship with Berkshire Community Foundation.
Fantastic, thank you. And sort of what degree did you study and what year were you in when you did that?
So I studied psychology and I did the internship at the end of my third year at university.
Fantastic, thank you. So first things first, because you've just sort of introduced what you did, do you want to tell me a little bit about your internship? So a little bit about maybe the project it was focused on and the sort of things that you were exposed to?
Yeah, of course. So I did my internship with Berkshire Community Foundation, who are a philanthropy-based charity in Reading, but we cover the whole of Berkshire. And they basically give grants to sort of other charities across Berkshire. So we have sort of corporate donors and sort of other local people who want to give back to their community, and we facilitate the grant giving between them. So as part of my internship, myself and the other intern worked on a sort of coronavirus report. So sort of when COVID hit, they were sort of before COVID, they were only having like monthly grant panels. And as soon as COVID hit, they went to weekly. So they were giving out so much money to all these charities across Berkshire to help with the effects of the pandemic. And as part of our internship, we were sort of asked to sort of look at the impact of that granting. And so we sort of pulled together a report on all the money that had been given out, and we focused on a few case studies, etc., and like put those in. And it was a lot of sort of research-based work, which was quite good because I did a psychology degree. And yeah, it was really interesting to actually go back and sort of see how their money and their granting had made an impact across Berkshire during the coronavirus, and sort of putting all that together. We made a video to go with it, and we also then, once we finished that, went back and started looking at the year as a whole and the whole impact they'd had throughout that year. So it was a really good way to sort of learn more about the charitable sector in Berkshire, definitely, and to sort of use my research skills that I gained in my degree sort of in a working environment.
Yeah, fantastic. I think that's a really good sort of insight for students that are listening in terms of the degree that you studied and then the internship that you did. Because on the surface, somebody might think, oh, that's not, directly related. But actually, like you say, you've used a lot of those skills to really help you in your internship. The Berkshire Community Foundation is quite a small charity, and we tend to work with quite small companies and charities on the Reading Internship Scheme. Would you be able to sort of tell our listeners a little bit about what that was like working with quite a small organisation?
Yeah, I mean, I personally really loved it. It was really sort of a small, close-knit team. You got to know everyone really well. And even though I was working on the like report, etc., I had sessions with the finance people and I had sessions with the CEOs and all the other people who sort of worked. I mean, there was only 6, 7 of us. And so it was really good to sort of get a wide view of the like charity and how it worked as a small business. And it was really nice to sort of talk to the finance people and work, like sort of hear how they do and sort of hear about all different aspects of the company. But also I think I actually ended up being employed with them in the end. So after I finished my internship, I started working part-time for them over the summer, and then back in October I started working full-time for them, and I'm still there. So I think even though it's a small charity, there's so many opportunities to still learn and sort of get that experience.
That's fantastic, and that's exactly what we hope for from sort of doing this program, is that you build that professional relationship and you can continue working with them. So hopefully for anyone that's listening, that really provides quite a sort of solid story around working with small companies and how that can actually progress into sort of part-time and even full-time employment. That's really good. In terms of your internship, what sort of skills would you say that you gained? That's a question that we get a lot from students who are interested in the programme. So if you'd be able to tell us a bit about that, that would be really good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I definitely touched on the research skills, and I think they were definitely sort of, I developed them in my time when I was sort of doing my internship and still now. I think sort of communication skills, definitely like learning to sort of communicate with people at different levels of the business, and sort of working out sort of the difference between talking to a community group or talking to the CEO of a charity, etc. Is how you sort of express your tone either through email or through the phone. Yeah, I'm trying to think of all their skills.
Were you sort of exposed to any, I know you said you were exposed to the departments and things like that. Did you take on any sort of other responsibilities or projects during your time, or was it mainly focused on sort of your impact reporting that you did?
So yeah, well, as part of the impact report, we also produced social media sort of posts, etc., to go along with that. So that was really interesting, actually, to sort of create the posts and see what goes into that sort of side of it.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. And in terms of doing a remote internship, I know before we started the recording, we sort of just spoke a little bit about that. But a lot of our internships at the moment are still remote, and we'd never actually run remote internships before the COVID pandemic hit. We were, in all honesty, sort of quite nervous about doing because we'd never done it before. But obviously, you're working with your employer now, and you started your sort of internship with them remotely. Would you be able to sort of give students a bit of an insight into what that was like working remotely? Sort of, were you able to, you know, get a relationship going with your organisation and the colleagues, and how was that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the remote working for me actually worked really well because as sort of COVID hit, I moved back home to Kent, and the role was in Reading. So remote working for me actually worked really well. I think the communication was really strong. Like, we'd have daily meetings every morning to catch up. Sort of my mentor was always there to sort of answer any questions through Teams. We just sent him a quick like message or anything. I think it was still, and we also, as well as having sort of our daily catch up where we talk about work related things, we'd slot in times to sort of talk like just about personal things, etc., and to catch up on general life. So yeah, it was really nice, and I feel like I still work remotely now, and I've only met the team a couple of times, but it feels like I know them really well because I speak to them so often, sort of through Teams and Zoom, etc. So I think it works really well, even though it would be nice to be back in the office.
Yeah, I'm sure. Thank you so much for going through that with us. I hope that provides any students listening with sort of a little bit of an idea of what remote working can be like. We've actually had interesting sort of feedback from other students as well, that working remotely, they feel actually quite like sort of more connected to their employer than they probably would if they were in the office. And the same with employers as well. They've said the same, because they're making more of a conscious effort to, like you say, have those like mornings every meeting or catch up points, because you're remote. Whereas normally in the office, you probably wouldn't have a catch up meeting every morning. It would probably be like maybe once or a few times a week.
Yeah.
So some employers have actually made a good point of that. Yeah.
It's so nice just to sort of catch up on a daily basis and just see where everyone else is at, and it just helps with like the team all working as a whole together and knowing what's going on in each different department. Seeing as we are such a small team as well, it's important to know what's going on all the time.
Yeah, definitely. So sort of working backwards a little bit. So we've talked about obviously your internship and what you did and how you found it and sort of skills that you gained. But how did you sort of come across the internship scheme? So I know we were talking a little bit about this before we started the recording, but some students feedback to us that actually they sort of stumbled across it. How did you sort of find out about it, for anyone that's listening that has no idea where to sort of look?
I think I first heard about it through an email, and I was at the time I was in my third year of university, so I was applying for a lot of graduate schemes, and I think I just came across an email through it, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll have it, like, give it a go. It'd be a good way to gain some experience before I sort of go into like future employment, etc. And I think once I did it and I like secured my internship, I was telling all my friends about it, and I was like, oh, everyone who's looking for a graduate scheme, you should do an internship and get some experience. And I know a couple of my friends actually went through the scheme as well and did actually secure internships.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think if I'd known about it earlier, you could get in like 3 or 4 throughout your time, which is such a good way to gain experience while you're at university. But yeah, definitely through emails and sort of social media, I think I sort of first saw it.
Brilliant. So sort of keeping an eye out on those things would be maybe a tip that you have for students.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, fantastic. And sort of tying in with that, really, would you sort of have any other tips for students around, like, you know, when they apply for the internship or when they're on their internship, like anything that maybe when you were going through it might have been helpful for you, that you could sort of tell any students that are listening?
Yeah, I think definitely like go for it. If you see something you're interested in, then sort of go for it. Even if you don't get it, it'll be a really good experience to go through that process. And if you do get the internship, make sure you sort of like ask loads of questions and find out what you can. I mean, you're there to learn, and you're there because they want to teach you. So it's really important to sort of get everything you can out of it. And as I said, like I did sessions with the finance people, etc. So it's really interesting. Make sure you just sort of talk to everyone and find out all the information you can, really, just to help you make, if you're sort of doing it for an experience point of view, to help you make decisions in the future about what you want to do.
Yeah, so definitely sort of like remaining like inquisitive when you're on your internship and keeping your network open, I think is really
Yeah, it's
important.
such a good
Yeah.
network as well.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything else you would like to tell students that you think might be helpful, or do you think they would be sort of your main tips?
Um, yeah, I think they definitely be my main tips, just to give it a go and sort of apply for all that you find interesting, definitely.
Yeah, fantastic. And final sort of question from me. When you were on your internship, was it what you expected? Did that, the job description that you read and applied for, was that very much what you experienced, or did you have sort of more exposure, or did you sort of have anything that surprised you? Was there a project you had to do and you thought, actually, I wasn't expecting to do it, but it's actually really of interest to me? Was there anything of the sort that you can think of from your time?
Um, I think the job description and the tasks that I did were pretty sort of accurate, and I sort of did tasks that I was expecting to do. I definitely tried to push ideas out there. So obviously we created the report, and then we sort of suggested, oh, like, why don't we do a video to go along with it? And they were like, yeah, that'd be really good. So then we created the video. So definitely just like explore, even though you've got your set tasks, like exploring the options around that and different ways you can sort of improve on that is really important as well.
Yeah, definitely. And would you say sort of during your internship that you managed to have a real sort of impact on the project that you did? So did the team really make you sort of have ownership of that? And when you came away from it, you could physically see the work that you'd contributed? Was there that sort of element of your employer making you feel like that you've achieved a lot and this is what you've done?
Yeah, so we had really strong sort of ownership over the project. We were sort of allowed to, myself and the other intern coordinated how we sort of best to approach it, and sort of we went through all the case studies and etc. we've had in, and sort of chose which ones we'd like to feature. And at the end, it was really nice to sort of see the report and for that to go out like on our website and all the social medias, etc., and to get some really nice comments back from it. And yeah, all the team were really supportive and like proofread it and were offering loads of suggestions. So yeah, we definitely had ownership over the tasks that we were doing. They were always there to answer questions if we had any.
Good, good. I'm really pleased that you had such a positive experience, and thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy work day to come and have a chat with us and to sort of let other students know how your experience was.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.